Come on in the room. Here we go. Between Sundays, the Thursday night edition. Ladies and gentlemen, you see right there, over there, and over there, I have in the studio with me none other than Darien Brister and Jay Morris. We're here on a Thursday night. It is the weeknight edition of Between Sundays. Join in the conversation. Darien's on taking a little bit of break. He's up in my neck of the woods chilling.
Up in your neck of the woods. I don't know about chilling though.
He's chilling. The ladies got him working.
That part.
And I hear he's doing a wonderful job as usual. So shout out to Darien and his team at the Wow Working It.
Yes,
if you don't know what that is, find out. Check out Mom Dale's page. You'll see it. All right, Darien, take it over.
All right, welcome back, guys. Between Sundays today, or this evening, I should say, is episode 29.
Welcome.
We are, again, a platform where we offer perspectives of the modern church ministry operation and the many nuances therein from the lens of worship, arts, and multimedia personnel. All right, so today, or tonight, we are starting a new series. All right, we're starting a new series that, I don't know if the layers can be counted.
This is gonna be good.
I don't know if the layers can be counted. But so tonight's series, because we're gonna jump right into it. Tonight's series, or the beginning of the next series, is relationships in ministry.
Wow.
Relationships
Goodness.
in ministry.
Yeah.
Well, I believe I arrived at this because our dialogue going back to the beginning of February when we first started, the contents of pretty much 97, 98% of what we've been discussing, the contents involve relationships. So we're going to take a few weeks and we're going to peel back some of these layers and talk about some of those, maybe the underlying details. All right. Let me start here, and then Jay, you give me any thoughts that come to mind. Again, obviously our outlook is not only from the musical side of things, from the multimedia side of things, but also as it pertains to our interaction and our co-laboring with the other leadership of the church, whether that's pulpit or whether that's leadership in other ministries. That's our outlook, is talking about that connection. So let's start here. A thought that I have when it comes to relationships in ministry is that relationships contain more elements of an exchange versus a transaction. And those two words, exchange and transaction, very similar, but they do have very unique and distinct differences. So here's the first thing that comes to mind: exchange. Exchange being equal value being shared in a reciprocal fashion. So, so I share from my abundance with someone who shares with me from their abundance.
Right.
Exchange. Well, transaction, I mean, again, you can argue that, that is a transaction. I would point transaction more towards where one party kind of has a bit of a lopsided benefit.
Yeah.
And obviously that could be perspective based, but transaction meaning, someone is coming to me for something that they need. And, so I'm not necessarily interested in what they maybe can share with me that would be beneficial to me. No, I'm really only interested in getting what I feel like is the fee for what they ask. I think the temperature is a little different there.
Yeah.
And I'm starting here. We're going to get somewhere here. We're going to get somewhere. It sounds a little broad, but believe me, we're going to get somewhere here when we talk about this exchange versus a transaction. It's going to lead us to, the whole employee versus ministry, the business versus ministry. It's going to lead us there. It's going to get more details out of that conversation. Yeah. Any thoughts, Jay?
Yeah. The first thing I think of when we talk about relationships and ministry, definitely, as you said, the element of exchange versus a transaction. The first thing that comes to mind for me is a little different. For me, when you say relationship, well, the word relationship, you first have to relate. So in order to have a relationship with anyone, especially in ministry, two cannot walk together unless they agree. So in order for something to take place like that, or any kind of exchange, you first have to be on one accord. And so getting even deeper into the ministry, whoever you are serving, and if they are your leader, or if you are serving aside them, you have to have the same vision in mind.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I always believe that things happen or things fail because, as Dee said, one side may be a little lopsided.
Yeah.
And one person may feel a little stronger about something than the other person, which causes now a divided situation.
Yeah.
Or could cause a divided situation. So, that's, my beginning thoughts. I got some more thoughts on it as we get a little deeper.
Yeah.
But those are my initial.
So let's hit a specific layer. Okay. I'm sure you are asked this, or you have been asked this in the past many times. I've been asked this in the past and recently many times. How do I decide how much I should ask for as compensation?
You love walking into the lion's mouth. You love walking into the lion's mouth, boy. I tell you.
So
no hand holding for you.
No. So, that is a very common question in the musician community, and that question is not. There's not nothing negative about the question. It's not. So I don't want to project that. So it's not nothing negative about the question, but it is very common in the musician community. And sometimes it extends even past church. It might even be for, for example, like a wedding band situation. But in the context of church, I want to use this as an example to branch off. So again, the question is, how do I decide what I should ask for in compensation? Now, before I answer that directly, this is what I want to do. I want to kind of give a short form, but then add an element that would suggest and display relationship versus transaction. Okay. So part of my answer to the question is, one of the things that I am doing in that conversation is finding out what the church is expecting of me. Okay. However, if I leave it there, meaning I ask them what they're expecting of me. I get all the details, and then I shoot out a number.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would say, in my opinion, that suggests transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Where, as an alternative, you still find out what the church is expecting.
Right.
And then along with whatever you feel that number is, and again, we can go back to the whole what should I or how do I,
Mm-hmm.
but when you give that answer, you also accompany it with, okay, here is some of the traits and skills that I can offer you.
Right.
That I believe would be an asset and benefit to your ministry. Now we get out of the world of just a transaction.
Right.
Because if I'm looking to offer skills and traits that was not asked for,
Mm-hmm.
that's key.
Right.
That was not asked for.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now I am saying that I am looking to develop a relationship.
Right.
I am interested in developing and pursuing a ministry relationship or a relationship in ministry. If I don't get that far, then I'm basically just doing what you asked me.
Right. Exactly. It's two different things. Right.
Go ahead. Open that up.
So this one is really, really sensitive because a lot of people can get offended. But let me make this disclaimer to the musicians out there listening. It is nothing wrong with asking what you believe you're worth. That's number one. I know that a lot of times in church usually is one of those entities that make you feel bad about asking. I don't know why. When you go on tour, it is what it is. You say what it is, and it is. If they can do it, fine. If they can't, they can't. I don't know why church is the only entity that makes you feel some type of way about saying, I charge for this.
Uh-oh.
Well, aren't you supposed to? And I'll say this one more time. I don't mind not charging for any ministry if you, as the pastor of the church, do not take up an offering. I challenge you. Take me up on it. But I guarantee you the answer is going to be, well, we can't do that. We need. Very well. That's fine. So I want to say to the musicians, please don't feel bad. The same way the churches take up an offering because money makes the world go round. It is what it is. They can pray unto high heaven. If you don't pay that bill, Delmarva or Pico or whatever electric, they gonna turn it off.
That electric
while you're praying. It is what it is. As my brother said, it's a transaction. Goods, services, supply, demand. And church is no different. Now, here's where I would draw the line with certain things. As we're talking about relationships and ministry, there are certain relationships where you can say, as my brother Dave says, my rate is this, but what can you afford? Because now we realize that, okay, you may only have 5 members. I don't need to charge you $700 and $800. You only got five members.
Yeah.
So obviously, me charging it's not about my skill at the time. If we have a relationship, I'm going to help you because it's in my heart to help you. It has nothing to do with me feeling bad. It has nothing to do about me feeling good. It's a relationship. If you need help, and I say this all the time, pastors that are starting a ministry, you will find a better relationship with musicians in general based on your start time. If your start time is the same as everybody else start time, it's going to be a hard chance that you're going to find who you desire, excuse me, as a musician. Hard. However, if your start time is off peak, let's say after 2, some after 4.
8 a.m.
Yeah. 8 a.m. services. If it's not within the hours of at least 10 to around 1:30-ish, you don't have to pay all that money. And most musicians, most that I know, won't charge you an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
And guess what? You'll get a full band every single Sunday, I guarantee you, for under $750. 4 or 5 piece. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Because that relationship will carry you where your money can't. That's the key. Network. You have to relationships, especially in order for you to succeed in anything, especially ministry, is paramount to success. Yeah. Go ahead, D. I don't take too much.
Pels, I'm coming your way. I need to say this though. One of the other points that I wanted to hit hard today is when we talk about relationship in ministry, when we use the adjective or the subword exchange, what that would also suggest is that all parties in the exchange have value to their voice.
Yeah, that's right. I like that.
That's kind of what is missing, particularly when you ask the musical people their perspective. One of the things that's missing in this collaboration is that the voices are not valued.
Yeah.
Pelzer, holla at us.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I can, so basically, for when he says the voices are not valued, so let me set up a scenario. You hired me to be the minister of music, which means there has to be a certain level of trust. That's number one. I tell you, the organ needs servicing. You have 3 keys, 3 pedals that are not working.
Yeah.
You have at least 10 drawbars that have totally disconnected from wires. And then I come to you with this, and you say to me, "Well, it sound good Sunday." And so what I just told you was what you needed to know. I said what you needed to know, so that way you could repair and get it, the necessary attention.
Yes, sir.
Never did you even think about my ability to make this broke organ sound amazing. To be able to say that to me and say, "Oh, well, it sounded amazing Sunday." You were that good to where you made that broke organ sound good. Your voice, it was not heard.
Yep.
They just listened. They put it in one ear and out the other.
Yep.
Well, if you made it sound good last Sunday, you can make it sound good this Sunday and the Sunday after that. and the Sunday after that.
Yeah.
And so voices are not heard, and what you were hired to do has changed.
Yeah.
From now, minister of music being responsible for repair to just do what I asked you to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pastor Harold Jolly, we're gonna hit that question in about another 10 minutes. I'm gonna hit that question. All right. We're gonna come back to that. But before we hit that question, Pels, I want to ask you something. I'm not trying to force you in here. Mm-hmm. But I do want to ask your opinion on something based on what Jay just said. So, some time ago, I learned by watching The Repair Guy, I learned how to solder drawbars. Mm-hmm. Mm. And then many of us that play organ, we have had a pedal stick on us mid-service. Mm-hmm. So some of us who are a bit intuitive, we have tried to find a hack so that it wouldn't stick and we get through the rest of the service. So here's my question, Pels. My question is, what would you say to, I guess, the person who is trying to draw the line between, giving to their church, their time, their abilities in the context of, fixing the organ to the best of their ability versus kind of enabling the church, because if they see you can jimmy it, sometimes if they see you can jimmy it, then it's like, well, we don't gotta call the repair man.
We got you.
So my question is, what would you say to someone that, that's their concern in terms of drawing a line there where, listen, I don't mind in a pinch, but when it gets to the point where you ain't trying to call the pro to get it fixed right at all.
Right.
Just because I can jimmy it in a pinch.
Right.
So here's where it gets difficult. And y'all know me, I go on a tangent. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello if you're in the comment section, and just y'all can be honest and be like, here go Pelzer. So I'm gonna put my glasses on for this.
Oh boy.
So here's part of the problem, and I'm gonna bring up scripture only because I'm nervous because I see Pastor Harold Jolly in the comment section. So I'm gonna do this right. Let me answer Darian's thing first. Mm-hmm. You gotta be real careful in what you show that you're able to do, right? Because people will pimp your ability. Mm-hmm. And not pay you for your specialty.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
If you show that, if you wipe the organ down, right? First thing is, you don't want to play on a dirty organ. Mm-hmm. So you at least get some Pledge or something, or some Kleenex or something. You wipe it down, you cleaner. Yeah. You just wipe the keys off. But it's not your job to polish that organ and make it look cute because you want it playing.
Yeah.
Right? But if they see you do that, you got to gauge for yourself. Is that just how you operate? Because then you're doing it for you and you're not expecting anybody to do anything. You're not even expecting anybody to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
If you have viewed the whole situation and you value that they met the number that you prayed about and expected. So whatever your 5-digit number is, and whatever the agreement is, they say, cool, y'all shook hands on it. And then you discover this daggone organ has a broke C# pedal. Mm-hmm. Let that sink in, everybody. Yeah. Or the A flat is out.
Yeah.
You are jacked. Right. Two important pedals. You get around the F, you gotta get around the B, the A, the E. But the A flat, the C# is gone. Right. So here's the thing. You mention it and you kind of realize, hey, I didn't put in the contract. Let's put in here, I'm not obligated to fix the organ.
Yeah.
And if the organ is not playable to my liking, we need to sit and talk, and my voice needs to be heard. Like, those are things that people don't think about putting in the contract.
Yeah. It's
right?
very true.
They don't think about putting in the contract, because if the organ F pedal is broke and you got a Baptist preacher and they say, you ain't tune me up like you did last week because the F is broken, I couldn't give you no bottom, bruh.
Yeah.
But then they're not understanding they got to pay to get that fix for you to sound like you normally sound.
Yeah.
Or it could be anything, like it could be anything off that messes up your performance. So the thing is, if you try to correct it, then they'll believe that that's you just wrote it as your job and you made it an expectation that they can expect you to have. Now, when you protest and say, I'm not going to do it, they take it as breach of contract. And it's like, nah, that's not breach of contract because that wasn't in my contract. Oh, it wasn't, but you can put it in there, or I put it in there because we didn't make it clear from the beginning. It's sad that we have to do things like that, but we do. So my answer to that is fall back and have a conversation. If you're already in it, it's going to be a little difficult. But if you're going into a situation, consider whose job is it? You got to do it, John Maxwell. John Maxwell, I'm never going to forget this. He was talking about a church that they wanted to hire him at. They wanted to install him at, and he let them interrogate the heck out of him. When they were done, he said, I need to ask y'all some questions. And he asked them some very important questions. So if I was Pastor Harold Jolly, just using my brother as an example, and they're going to get me over there at the church, I'm going to be like, hey, so let me ask y'all a question. When it snows, I get to church early. I might beat the deacons here. Now, when I pull up, do y'all expect me to shovel off the front steps, or are they going to be shoveled off for me to walk in? Because if you ask that question, most church members will go, what you mean? No, exactly what I mean. Because I don't want you to show up and say, hey, you was here, you didn't shovel off the steps, and I still got to preach, I got to play, or I got this, that, the third. You got to make things clear from the jump. If you forget to make them clear, here's where I want to go, and I'm going to say this. I can do this real quick. This is rather small on screen, but I'm going to embiggen it over top of my brothers.
I need to borrow that word.
And I'm going to go right here for church people to think about this right here. What I'm finna say. And if you hear ye the word of the Lord, it says in Philippians, y'all know this. If then there's any encouragement in Christ, if any consideration of love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any affection and mercy, make my joy complete by thinking the same way, having the same love, united in spirit, intent on one purpose. Do nothing of selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility consider others as more important than yourselves. Everyone should look not on his own interests, but rather to the interests of others. That is a pivotal thing. And in the King James, it says something like be of one mind. And so the thing is, when you don't understand the other person, try to understand. And if everybody works together to understand the mind, and we stay on the purpose of Christ, then we can work this together. A lot of times what happens is a deacon is a deacon, a pastor is a pastor, and us musicians is just musicians. So the thing is, pastors got to think about, how am I one mind with the musician? The musician has to think, how am I one mind with the pastor? And then what ends up happening is you can't be in your own planet and them in their own planet. Because if I need you to minister, I don't need you with a Phillips screwdriver and a soldering gun out unless that's your business. And if it's your business, then I need to make sure that you're being compensated for your business, or that we're acknowledging that you are now inserting your business. Okay. So when we look at church the same way, it helps us to get to an understanding so nobody's overworked in one area or another. Last point here. Churches have financial problems, people. We cannot keep looking at the internet and looking at our favorite preachers, our celebrity influencer preachers, and their congregations and think that ours is the same. It's not. And the ones that are listening to you complain about your problems, and they going on like, I'm glad we ain't got that problem. In the meantime, a lot of churches are fooling themselves, And sad reality is musicians are going from church to church that will hire you knowing they can't afford you.
Right.
And they will rob Peter to pay Paul in the belief that they'll have the church that they see on the internet. And I call them enablers. Enablers. And so when bitter musician goes to another ministry, that ministry takes them on and think that their ministry is going to change because they got the elite ministry team. There's a lot of star players that go to different sports teams and they cannot survive that sports team.
Yes, sir.
Because it's not all about the musician. It's not all about just the pastor. We all got to work it together. Darren, back to you.
You got any thoughts on that question, man? In terms of that line between, kind of giving of, your talent and, something that you can, kind of make shift and make it work temporarily versus kind of enabling the not doing it right.
Yeah, it's funny how Belza brought that up because, well, you brought it up first with the enabling, because I never thought of it like that. That is enabling the problem.
Yeah.
And then you are expected now,
that part,
to be the guy on call. And even though that was never part of your job description, but I said it before and I'll say it again. It's amazing how the switch up, when it's something that concerns the ministry, how it's supposed to be about ministry, but when it concerns you now, well, it's about a job. And you have to do your job. Now, here's another situation that I've come across that I wanted to share. So, in dealing with relationships in ministry, I wanted to ask you, D, what do you do when somebody that you're good friends with, starting a ministry, but he tells you, hey, Doc, I know I can't pay you what you're worth, but I can pay you this. But you realize he's paying you out of his pocket and not from the church.
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Yeah, that one is, I think that's going to depend on your perspective. If you're asking me personally, I'm going to have a bit of a tough response to that person. I'm going to have a bit of a tough response because my issue with that arrangement, is most times it's not sustainable. Most times it's not sustainable. Now, obviously, I cannot count that person's pocket.
Right.
I can't. But in my experience, because this is not something new to either one of us.
Right. That's what I said. Right.
It's not something new to either one of us. So in my experience, it's not sustainable. So then what happens when you're not able to do that anymore?
Exactly.
Because the thought is that they will do it until the church can pick it up. But the timing does not always align that way.
Exactly.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
So for me, my response would be, listen, I appreciate the gesture. I'm going to decline. I'm going to decline because I just don't believe that is a healthy path to travel.
Now, understanding that, of course, that person really wanted to have you there. When you have to share with them, listen, paying me out of your pocket isn't the most, as you say, sustainable way to go. And a lot of times you'll hear these words, well, just until we can grow, you'll grow with us.
Yeah.
And not to say that's not true. we all have good intentions for that.
Absolutely.
But as you said, that doesn't always pan out that way. And when they start to struggle with paying you, two things are going to happen. Either you're going to be now a burden to them.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, you're going to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Well, we know we was paying you $200, but now how about this $75? And now you have the burden to say whether you'll do that or not for $75.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you now look like the bad guy.
It gets uncomfortable very quickly.
And you're all about money. You see what I'm saying? So
yes,
it's
sir.
just like, I know a lot of cats are in that same situation to where they're like, okay, we've all heard that we'll do this until the church grows.
Yeah. So before you come in, Pels,
go ahead.
The whole, when we grow,
Right, Dave. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That whole thing, here's the other thing. To me, it really, it raises my eyebrow in terms of, the method of carrying out your vision. It raises my eyebrow because there does not seem to be, the strategy is not very clear there. It just not. But more importantly, in my opinion, in those situations where even that is posed to you, that as we grow, you'll grow. And let's say, you believe it's sincere. Well, this takes me back to where we started today. Okay, I may be willing to take that arrangement. How valued is my voice?
Bet.
How valued is my voice as it pertains to the collaboration of ministry? Because now we can tip the scale a little bit. Where, I will agree to a lot less rate, a divine rate.
I like that. Divine rate, yeah.
Because now, my voice, particularly as it pertains to my area, carries value as it pertains to reaching and achieving the vision of the church as a whole.
Exactly.
So I would keep my eye on that if you're going to accept that type of arrangement. Because those of us who've been in the game a while, that can be a little triggering. As we grow, you'll grow. Pels, you ready? Or are you still working?
Nah, so okay. So
I didn't want you to lose your thought.
No. So I'll put it to you like this. Let me go back to. I'm sorry, I just got stuff all over the place because I was trying to set up to go to the comments on exactly what's in the comment section. I don't want to miss the comments, but Rob says, I always think of this story. This phenomenal guitarist told me recently he was on tour and his amp was falling off the stand and the tech wasn't paying attention, and instead of playing, he stopped to fix the stand and pinched his finger and messed it up. Okay, they called for a guitar solo and he's bleeding on stage and got sent home because he tried to fix something that wasn't his job to do. I like it. All right, I like it. And I didn't want to miss that point. And the reason why I said I like is because other things happen when you're doing what you're not actually there to do first. Yeah. And then people don't take it the same way, because if you're tired because you stayed up working on the organ all night and you show up late for church on Sunday, they're only worried because you was late for Easter Sunday or something crazy like that. Dave Bell says most times the empathy you have for that preacher makes you not even want to play for them because you appreciate the sacrifice. But nah, this isn't beneficial for either of us. Yeah. I'll stop there and give y'all my commentary right now. Okay, a couple of factors there. There is, if church was an economy of some sort, right? Yeah. And I just said this, the mindset is, this is not taking anything away from how Jesus set up evangelism and how it's given in the Bible. The reality and the way we live now and how people are, we're in a time frame where our congregations are like customers Just let it sink in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't accept it as is to not change, but come with the reality of what it is. You know how I know? Because pastors will call me. And you know what they say? Pelzer, I need a musician. That is the hard. I don't want to even call it a dumb question or a dumb conversation. I'm just saying it's a tough one that is wide open ended because most of the time it's different pastors calling me that got different congregations. And I may know one person that's asking me, yo, if anybody need a musician, I'm available.
Yeah.
And you know what? No stab, but it might be a guy or girl that plays in 2 keys and all they know is CCM songs, right? Then Baptist preacher calls me and says, I need somebody. I'm like, I know somebody, but.
Exactly.
And they say, they got to at least know how to play a couple of hymns, and the number may be like what the 1 or 2 key keyboard player is asking for. But you don't know the skill set of what they need. It's churches now opening up this like, can they play a pipe organ? Wow. In my brain, I'm like, pipe organ, you got to pay me $600 more to play just because you said pipe organ, right? That's not a written in stone, but that's just me.
Yeah.
But it gets more broad to say, Jay, when a pastor says, hey, I'm starting a church and I want to get you in there, but I can't afford what you give it. Here's the problem with that conversation. If we tight like that, I'm not asking you to play for me unless I'm going to pay you what you're not going to turn down.
Yeah.
Let it sink in. Because if I got a low ball everybody, I don't need to start it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All I need to do, relational equity. Y'all put this word down. Relational equity. Relational equity says, hey, Darien, Tremaine, I'm starting a church and I need to have good sound. I bought the equipment, but I don't even know how to set it up, whatever. You know, if you got time and you feel like coming through, I welcome you to come set. I didn't say I'm going to hire you to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's already understood. Keith ain't even take up offering yet.
Yeah.
And maybe he don't have it because in my relationship with Keith is if he had it, he would pay me for it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's still your choice. I could say, Jay, you and Angel, welcome to come through. I'm having service at 2:00 every 3rd Sunday.
Yeah.
I didn't say, Jay, can you come play for me? I said, y'all welcome to come through. Now, when you get there and I'm on the organ playing, if the Spirit tells you to get me up, and go preach and you play. And you might be like, dang, I really like this dude preaching. I'm coming back next week. I'm still not asking you to play. If you decide to, and then as you're doing it, you also have to trust in relational equity.
Yes, sir.
That once you see 400 and 500 people up in there, and you know we at least getting $10 off of each person in the offering, blessing, I'm going to come to you and say, hey, brother, I appreciate you here. Here's where we're growing.
Yeah.
Hey, can we talk business?
Yeah.
Darian, thank you for coming in every Sunday, just giving up time. And you know how the exchange goes? Bro, I'm enjoying this, but he's not going to say, you ain't got to pay me because I enjoy the fellowship. You going to say, yo, look, we here. Me and my family here. We enjoying this.
Yeah.
Let's talk on Tuesday.
Yeah.
See what we doing.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it's supposed to be done because
Yes,
what happens in relational equity is if I got Darien there doing sound, I got Jay there playing, his wife is singing along with my niece and this one and that one, and then Dave comes in there with his boys and you got, my man Michael on the bass, so-and-so on the drums. Now you got a problem because they're saying, Keith is crushing. Y'all should come. Well, they pick up the instrument, start playing. Now, after a while, they sitting around looking like, well, is you getting paid? Y'all see where I'm going?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So now it goes back to the pastor. You shouldn't have never started that ministry unless you knew you was covered. You need to take time and plan and ask yourself, what are you doing? Do a Joe Foch and start a Bible study. Do not make the ministry off of music and praise and worship because half the time your worship leader ain't even invested in your ministry anyway. They just coming through, singing the solo and rolling out the door. I said enough right there. I said enough.
So let me shout out some watchers, and then I want to get to Pastor Jolly's question.
Go for it.
Valrita Davis, Dave Bell,
She
Rob
down there in them
Speaks,
streets.
Fatima Jenkins, Grace Allen Shepherd, Lily. We mentioned Pastor Jolly, Willie Phillips,
Willie,
Aunt Schuler, Brenda Jenkins, Mrs. Angel Morris. Happy anniversary, guys.
Thank you.
Ola Leon McCrae, Tremaine Dunlap. Thank you all for tuning in. Yeah. All right. So the question was posed a little while back. Yes. Can we talk about this title of minister music for those who are not ministers? All right. So, yeah, this is a great question.
We covered it before.
We did cover it before.
So, yeah.
Let me say it. Let me start here. But, because this is another perspective thing. Obviously, there's some historical context, but I don't think everybody has the same historical context behind the title or using the title minister music. Without going down that rabbit hole, I think there are many of us that our context, our historical context, is not from the origin of minister, because obviously that would have to point to ordination. Now, one would argue that the actual historical context is from the origin of minister. I'm saying, for the sake of, I guess, our discussion now, most of us in the Black church, we don't pull the minister music title from the origin of an ordained minister. We pull it more from the perspective of ministering in music, which that I think we would all agree that ministering in music would not carry the prerequisite of ordination.
Right.
So that's how I would first attack it, because it's his question, if I'm understanding him correctly, his question is not about discussing the role. It's really about the usage of it.
Right.
So I think that's why in other ministry settings, you don't see that title for the person that's in that seat. You'll see the title director of music.
Okay.
And usually when you see that, it's the historical context of, okay, well, because the person that is over our music department is not an ordained minister.
Right.
We're not going to call him
Minister.
a minister of music.
Right.
But again, I think the majority of the context from the Baptist church's lens, at least, is they weren't thinking about, the ordained minister. They were just thinking about the one that is the lead when it comes to ministering in music. And that's where that title birthed.
Right.
But if I'm understanding his question correctly, it's not about what the role entails. It's really about the usage of that title versus a different title. When you go out west to larger churches, particularly in other cultures, that title says sometimes worship pastor. Right. Now, in my experience, all of the worship pastors are not ordained ministers or actual, have been installed as like a pastor of a church, or even been installed as the pastor of that particular ministry.
Right.
So I think we kind of have used these titles in church as, we have kind of seen and heard and kind of copycatted.
Right.
As just really the person responsible for, the music department. Any thoughts, Jay?
Yeah. So as you explained so eloquently, man, like, for real, that's exactly what I would have said, and I would even go it further. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna touch that, Mr. Jolly.
Go ahead, touch it, Jay. It is what it is. Call it what it is.
I've heard of even you have your worship pastors, and then you have your pastors of music and fine arts.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you have so many titles. Yeah. And then, as my brother said, they were not installed as pastor over fine arts. It was just one of those nice, I guess, cute names that churches of a certain caliber, they like to make sure they have these titles, so that way they just don't say musician.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that just sounds ugly.
Yeah. Now, can I throw this in here, particularly with Pastor Jolly's most recent comment? Because he's right. There are many people in that role that are not ministering.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to take inventory there, though, as from a church leadership standpoint, because if they're in the role, not ministering, how did they get in that role?
Ooh,
right.
Yikes!
Right.
Well, Darien, I'm glad
sir.
you said that. You asked the question, how did it get there? It's pressure and there's a lack of faith. Right?
Yes, sir.
The early church was all built off of faith. Right? Anywhere you really check it out, there's a lot of faith that went into it, because after Jesus did what he did, and then after that meetup in Acts chapter 1, then after what happened in Acts chapter 2, they was kind of winging it. And winging it is a holy way of saying we walk by faith and not by sight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Paul even had to keep his gangster under check.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I was beating these people up and now these jokers stoning me.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had to curtail all of that heebie-jeebie stuff, 7 sons of Sceva and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Every movement was on by faith. I mean, pastor got locked up, Peter, right? They like, yo, and it's like, oh, it is you. He's out. All this stuff going down. They trying to lock these boys up. They like, yo, we can only speak on what we seen and what we heard.
Mm-hmm.
So good point, Darien. How did they get there? How did you get here? It's like we got here because we lacked faith.
Yes,
I admitted I made a move early in my pastoring that was like, I look back on this like, why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
This person wasn't no daggone minister of music.
Yeah.
They just been in church all their life like me, but they're not a leader.
Mm-hmm.
They was here to get a check.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, either they was that good, in some cases people were that good and they helped the church out for a movement for a time, or they was broke and they should have been happy they got whatever check they got from you.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, there's no fruition of growth there at the end of the day, because we made moves in panic.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, my brother Pastor Jolly, you know this, sometimes we have to make that move because we're trying to satisfy everybody else. If you inherit the congregation that all they do is shout, y'all listen what I'm about to tell y'all.
Yes, sir.
If the church is known, whatever church you attend, if y'all known for we got that dope music, it be banging, it was on fire.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. You let that musician department get wiped out, it's gonna be a problem. Because the congregation was built up on the bump.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when stuff ain't bumping, it seemed like you ain't got no believers.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Oh,
If we built up, let's get funky in here, we killing it. When the funk is gone and the faith is low, everything about to shift.
Mm-hmm.
When the star musician gets outbidded by another sneaky behind church and takes that star musician that you got, and then the musicians that was with the musician leave with that musician, we're going to have a problem.
Yes, sir.
Are y'all hearing what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm telling y'all, this ain't prophetic. It is plain and simple.
Yes, sir.
The churches are like sports teams, and we're trading quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm telling y'all, we need a linebacker. We need a good running back, and people, and we got scout teams.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is they move around. And here's the thing. The movers, in most cases, we call them ministers.
Mm-hmm.
And we call them minister of music or pastor of music, whatever. The problem is you ain't thinking like a pastor. You ain't thinking like a minister is supposed to think.
Right.
A minister, a leader cares for the flock, cares for the people, cares for the interests of others. What I just read on the screen,
Yes, sir.
be of one mind. And those who know better are supposed to do better.
Yes, sir.
And this is what strengthens the church when we at least have the conversation and be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stop doing some of the things that we're doing. So before somebody makes you feel bad and say you not a minister of music, ask yourself,
Mm-hmm.
are you just good on the instrument or are you a minister of music? We're all called to be ministers in Christ,
Mm-hmm.
but are you a minister of music or are you just talented on your instrument?
Wow.
Jay, I'm coming your way because I want your thoughts on the whole. How did they get there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me say one quick thing though. One of the things that I've embraced, because the titles thing, it can get messy.
Mm-hmm.
It can, particularly in ministry, it can get messy. But one of the things I've embraced, and hopefully more of us can embrace this, is that titles are not for power.
Mm-hmm.
Say it.
In ministry, titles
it.
are not for power. The purpose of titles is direction and organization.
Mm-hmm.
For a bigger check.
Pastor
Hey, look,
G. Lamar Stewart, God bless
when
you,
the
sir.
deacons want to be cheap, they say, we don't need a minister of music. We just need a musician. What that
Right.
means is y'all got $150, $200.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what that means.
But yeah, Jay, I'm coming your way. Yeah,
Yeah.
but in ministry, titles are not for power. It's not for
Say it.
identifying the person that tells everybody else what to do. That's not the purpose of titles when it comes to ministry. It's for direction, organization, and direction. Jay, how they get there?
Well, I've always figured, the higher the title, the bigger the servant.
Mm.
That
was a word.
Yeah, that's holy.
If you are a pastor, or if you are the elder, you're supposed to be one of the biggest servants out of everybody. If nothing else, if nobody else is going to clean the bathroom, you should be the one to step up and do it, because that's what you chose. It's not about having a title just because of power, just because you feel that makes you a somebody in the church. Because we go back to the question, well, how did they get there? Well, a lot of times it's friendship. A lot of times, tenure, as we discussed back in February. A lot of times the tenured are able to get these titles that they're not qualified for.
Let's drop that other word we talked about. Loyalty.
That part right there. The loyalty to the pastor. Not even loyalty to God. I need you to be a yes person. Yes man or a yes woman.
Mm-hmm.
When I need you, you don't have to even ask, why am I doing it? You don't even have to question my judgment. I just need you to be on board. Or no. Better yet, I need you to be in line with the vision.
Who am I?
See, we have this thing in the church where if we say it in a certain way, ministry-wise, that means we put the fear of the Lord in it. So instead of calling it, basically a sham, we call it ministry. And not to say ministry is a sham. What I'm saying is there's certain things that happen where in the world it would be called a sham. Why? Because what you're telling me or what you're trying to sell me is nothing more than what I can get on my own, reading the Word of God. But if you're going to give me something straight from from the throne of heaven. That has now become something that's invaluable to me, because obviously you're hearing from God, and I confirm that what God has told you, I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
But telling me God's going to bless me, that's, that, I understand, as an elder, as a minister, or whatever the case is, how did, you got there because of pastor. Yeah. Or pastor has a friend that's a bishop. Yeah. That was able to install you because you are the most trusted. And I got it. I got how it works. It's not one church does it. A lot of churches do it. Yeah. Because the most trusted is the one that can be around the pastor, can serve the pastor, can get the pastor that nice glass of Hawaiian punch, in the goblet, where he or she don't have to, smell it to see if you're trying to poison him. So I got why they do it. But when you say, how did they get there? Yeah, it's a loyalty thing. It's a friendship thing. Very, very few, I'll say it like this, very few have interviewed people for an elder position that they didn't know first. Or a pastor's adjutant or assistant position, or assistant pastor position. Most of the time, if it's a pastor and it's an elder right next to them, or it's a adjutant, they can usually say, I've known them about 20 something plus years.
Yeah. Man, that's an interesting.
Very few people interview as a musician would for a job. Very few people interview to be the pastor's assistant. Yeah. Or to be an elder in the church. Maybe it's not a criteria for it, except for loyalty.
Hey, it's good listening to you guys. I would say there's something to think about that I think will strengthen the community. Be this: who would you? Okay, all things being equal, you got 5 years worth of salary given to you right now. It's in your pocket. Yeah. You ain't got to go play for not near a check right now for 5 years. And let's just say the terms of agreement on that, the angel of the Lord says, you will not be able to get a check from anybody for the next 5 years. But here's 5 years worth of $100,000 worth of salary. Wow. What are you going to do for the next 5 years? And you're going to say, well, I can't play for nobody. You can play for whoever you want. Yeah. But you can play 18 services in one day, but you will not get a dime for playing for anybody. But here's 5 years worth of salary. Yeah. So you straight. You're not going to get no money. Who do you go play for? What ministry do you serve at? And then the angel of the Lord says, you must pick a choir and lead them. Who do you lead? What praise team do you work with when money's not involved? Yeah. What church do you go to and sit under that sermon every Sunday and you not picking up a check? You just giving it all. It's already taken care of. God said, I already got you. Yeah. So, because I don't want this to be about money. Where's your heart leading you to? Because whether you get a check or not, inside, because this is church, it is not a bill. The reason why people buy stocks and stuff is not always just to make money in the stock, but also it should be of you that if you love Nike, and you buy Nikes, you buy stock in Nike. Whether it goes up, there it is. There's the preach right there. I knew it was coming. The sneakers, you paid $150 for the sneakers. But when you buy the stock of Apple, you buy the stock of Nike, you buy the stock of Samsung or Galaxy. The stock goes up and down. It's got highs and lows, but you going to keep your investment in there regardless, because you believe in the product. And so you have to define your serving by where you'll stay.
Yeah.
And then your salary has to come behind your serving.
Yes, sir.
Right? This is a trust faith statement I'm making. You have to always check your serve. Right? Seek ye first. It's all biblical.
Yeah.
Seek ye first. Right? And these things shall be added.
Yes, sir.
If you keep putting the emphasis on, I gotta eat, I gotta play to survive or something like, no. No. You have to have the faith to believe that this is an add to. So if you get 1,000 hours a week playing, that's an add to. Lest ye boast. There's no boasting in that. Right? So the thing is, where's my serve at? So I can't be in two churches at one time technically, but anywhere I preach, even if I'm just traveling through as a pilgrim, I still place myself in that pulpit when I'm there to preach as a visitor. I think in my spirit, could I serve here?
Yeah.
Because you can't preach to people that you don't believe you can serve with. I'm trying to help somebody.
Yeah.
And musicians don't think it. You can't really minister in playing where you can't find yourself there. If you got stuck there at that little church, would you be okay? And can you serve those people that don't do 103 BPMs?
Yeah.
Right? Can you serve them people that don't have your favorite singer? Can you do it? Because, and I'm not saying that's where you got to get stuck at, but you have to inwardly say, this is what I will do.
Yeah.
And therefore, when that brother or sister says, the Lord told me to start ministry, you're going to say, I got you, before they even say, this all I got.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then you're looking at the other people, because it ain't just the band.
Yeah.
It's the people that's there when the band strike the chord.
Yeah.
It's the people that are encouraging you and praying for your behind when you come in there broken down and nobody really knows it. The person in the back that shouts the least is actually the one that prayed for you today.
Yeah.
Wow.
You don't even know it. So the thing is, where's your serve? And if we learn to check our serve, that's going to help the community of saints out. And then pastors will stop making the wrong, dumb decisions and saying, let me check the box of this, check the box of that, check the box of this, and check the box of that. And you check all the boxes and everybody done checked out and say, well, I was waiting online.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. And can I add to what you just said, Pels?
Go for it, sir.
In terms of checking your serve, let me say, as a next step, after you check your serve, as a next step, I go back to what I mentioned maybe 20 minutes ago. It's pay attention to the value of your voice to that ministry.
Nice.
Pay attention, because at least for me, I won't try to cookie cut this for everybody, but at least for me, the value of my voice, that amplifies my serve. That
I see it.
amplifies. And I think that just kind of answers your question, Pels, in terms of, the 5 years, you ain't got to worry about it. Where would you go? Where would you place your serve?
Right.
And so if I was answering that question, that's one of my first things. Okay, where does my voice have value? Because where my voice has value, when it comes to my area, my serve is amplified.
Exactly.
My serve is amplified. I want to go back to something real quick. I gotta ask one of those questions that I normally ask.
Yeah.
Jay, last time you were talking, we brought up loyalty when you were answering how did they get there. So here is the paradox. Okay, because we've talked about, let's use a toxic loyalty. We talked about that on the show.
Wow, that's good.
So now I guess the question would be, okay, well, wait a minute. Darien, Jay, Pels, the topic of this new series is relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't loyalty a part of relationships?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the answer is yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But as said before, it is not the overwhelming dominant.
That's right. Yep.
Yes, loyalty has to be involved in any relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
But it should not be the overwhelming dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Should not be the overwhelming dominant. I want to shout out some more watchers. Mark Gray, Crystal L, Candace Hinman, Boone, Pastor G. Lamar Stewart, Overseer Joshua Gooden, Steve Page, Lynn Stroman, Grant. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, we just kicked off a new series, Relationships in Ministry. So here's a thought. As we got about 10 minutes. Here's a thought regarding, again, relationships in ministry. I just talked about how valued is my voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think if y'all don't mind, I want to go this way just in case, because I hear somebody, I can hear somebody kind of misinterpreting me when I say how valued is my voice. I'm not saying in essence how loud is my voice.
All right.
Two very different things. Because why does the person talk so loud in church when it comes to things of that nature?
Mm-hmm.
Because they believe the loudest person is the person that gets their way and is the one that gets listened to.
Mm-hmm. Not always the case.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, but when I say is my voice valued, again, when we talk about a vision of a ministry, a vision of a church, okay, yeah, there is a set direction from the angel of the house.
Right.
It starts there with that set direction, but then now the leadership of all of your ministries. Now, their job is to now in their area maximize to point everyone to that vision and to that direction. Mm-hmm. But how can I point people if my voice don't have no value? Mm-hmm. How can I build people if my voice don't have no value? Listen, I'm gonna say it. In the Black Baptist Church, we have the backdoor ministry. What I mean by backdoor ministry, and I'm not talking about anything Diddy.
Please clarify that on today.
Wow. That's a good one.
But what I mean by backdoor ministry is going around the leader of ministry of a particular ministry area and going either straight to the pastor, straight to the the board members. Mm-hmm. We got that. And so when that happens, the person that you went around me to get to is not sending you back to me, whether directly or indirectly. Mm-hmm. Now I'm suspicious that, okay, my voice doesn't have a lot of value.
Right.
Any thoughts on any of that, Jay?
Yeah. So, as my brother said, does my voice have value? Well, here's the thing about that. Why hire me if you do not trust my judgment? If I am qualified for a position, no matter what it is, then my voice, and like I said, it's not loud. What we're saying is, if I'm sharing with you, you should trust that everything that I'm sharing with you is for the betterment and the leading of the vision that the pastor has set forth. Mm-hmm. Not about the musician. If the organ needs repair, that does not benefit my pocket. I don't know why we have such issues in ministry as like y'all putting that money in my pocket or something, and or the musician's pocket.
Yeah.
That doesn't benefit my pocket at all. That benefits the ministry. You're not paying me. You're paying the repairman directly.
Yeah. Same way you got to play the plumber.
Same way, yeah. Same way you play electrician.
If there's an issue with the urine.
Right. It's the same way. It doesn't benefit the musician at all, except for him playing a little bit better now that everything is fixed. But if my voice is valued, I should be able to just hand a slip right there. Hey, listen, this is what's going on with the organ.
Yep.
And the very next week, it should be already said. Or most pastors tell you, if you got it like that, all right, call the man. Send me the invoice.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
So I give y'all a little something on old school church, right? The people, and this is why I brought up that Philippian scripture, like-mindedness, right?
Yes, sir.
It was like I had a relationship, not just because I was a pastor's son, but I built relationships beyond, this is pastor's son, right? But I built relationship with the trustees and the people that were always giving.
Yeah.
Because, and the people that enjoyed the ministry that I had in me.
Yeah. And
so it would cause people to say, was there something going on with the organ? Yeah, the pedal broke. What, and you know what a good member will say? What we got to do.
What we got to do.
To get it fixed.
Yep.
Now, when Darien said voice, the thing is now, it's not just the musician saying, hey, the pedal broke. It's the usher is saying, y'all know he said the pedal broke.
Yeah.
And then they gonna look at, well, it's still broke. Why the pedal still broke? Right?
Yep.
And then now all the pressure of the people is how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
like
sir.
Joshua Gooden, if he's still in the comment section, Lamar Stewart, Pastor Jolly, y'all know old school church would be like, yo, Reverend got that same suit on 3 Sundays in a row. And then somewhere along the way, yo, I just wear what I got.
Yeah.
Then the people say, we got to put Reverend in a better suit. And now with one accord,
yes, sir,
we do this. So if it's like, well, the singer is sick and hey, well, we need another singer. Yeah. Well, another singer costs money nowadays. Okay, how can we afford that? Not pastor got to fix it and solve the problem to satisfy the members. Y'all see where I'm going?
Yes, sir.
So once we make it, like, it's everybody's job to make it a we.
Yes, sir.
Right? And so when it's a we, it actually grows. Right? And it's not perfect right now, but that's where it's got to go, because I look, y'all, I'm seeing some churches where it just seemed like, yo, Reverend, you the only one want the praise team.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Or you the only one ain't satisfied. And it's legit because you have a vision. But if you good with vision, you realize you paying all this money for a band that don't serve your people.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no connection there.
Yeah.
Right? It ain't the people's bad. It ain't the band is bad. It's just this ain't working. It's not cohesive. Right? You can't bring a CCM band into a church of hymnal mindset people. And then you don't call them old and decrepit. Right? Because there's a such thing as old school good bump.
Yeah.
Amen. You
Amen.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
sir.
that we, and Darien, back to your point, and what y'all saying is you bring it to the point where I'm going to notice Darien soldering the organ. Like,
yeah.
Do he do soldering too? Like, no, I was just doing this because the organ broke.
Yeah.
Right.
Why are you fixing the organ? What we broke, y'all? Right? Because if we need to have a meeting. Like, y'all see what I'm saying? That's when, and I hear what Jay was saying earlier, but If I go to Pastor Harold Jolly Church and he's painting the walls, I'm like, well, he's opening up a painting company, but that's not proof that he's a servant.
Yeah.
Proof that he's a servant is some other stuff that he did, but the wall could have been painted by 15 other members.
Yeah.
Y'all feel me, right? The trash could have been taken out by 20 of the men in the church, not just to say, oh, he a good reverend because he took out the trash.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And that's where it does have to go. I'm gonna look that up. Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. Got it. Darien, on you.
All right, listen, we're gonna get out of here. Hattie Richardson, LB Mutchison, thanks for tuning in. Next week. You ready for this one, Jay?
Yeah.
So, part 2, relationships in ministry. What do the people you lead say about you?
Goodness, is that the pulpit or the?
That's everybody.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing.
That's everybody.
Here's the thing. If I can just add on to that just for next week, I've realized, and most musicians that have had this can know what I'm saying. I found it easier to work with a leader that like you beyond the instrument.
Yes, sir.
Boom. That's big.
Yes, sir.
You can pause on that. That's
So
good.
when you say relationship and ministry, like, okay, for instance, I never heard Pels preach.
Mhm.
But because I've been around him for a little while now,
Yeah.
if he did preach, I got to know a bit of his mannerisms
Mm-hmm.
to where I know what to look for.
Yep.
But if you're playing for a leader and all you are is a hireling,
Mm-hmm.
where as soon as he's back there,
Harold
the
Jolly words.
security comes out and you can't even see him, you can't talk to him, you can't get in touch with him.
Yeah.
That becomes a bit of an issue now.
Yep.
And so, like you said, your voice is not heard. And not that my voice got to be the loudest,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe just respected enough.
Absolutely.
But
You see what I'm saying?
Jay,
Yeah.
I gotta see this.
Yeah.
And I brought him up. Those, if you know, you know. One of the most pain in the neck musicians I've ever worked with was one of literally, and Darien knows exactly where I'm coming from when I say this, was one of the most check off all the boxes person you could have ever met. Was cool with everybody in the church.
Mm.
Pain in the neck too, but hospitable,
Mm-hmm.
but get on your nerve. We had to take the good with the bad. But when I say on time,
Mm-hmm.
early, like frustrated if the drummer showed up late,
Yeah.
if the choir ain't ready, if they late for rehearsal, I mean, had an attitude. If something was wrong, would try to figure out how to fix it, the whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
Personal problems, but that dude checked off all the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, am I right? Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, I was just gonna say checked off the skill boxes.
Right, the skill boxes, right?
Checked off the skill, particularly and you talked about punctuation.
Yep.
Checked off those boxes. Absolutely.
So if crooked people, well, I
I
didn't mean to
sir.
put it like that. If jacked up people with a form of evilness on the inside can check off the boxes of skill set, what makes us with our anointed talking to the Holy Ghost selves not see the necessities beyond being lazy
Yeah.
and saying it ain't my job and I don't know.
Right.
You do know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Rob speaks that question is gonna be at the top of next week.
That's gonna be good, bro.
That's gonna be at the top of next
Oh
week.
yeah,
All right, y'all
That's
tune
gonna be
in.
Good.
Shout out to Tamika Furby. She put me in A flat on Sunday. Man, couldn't tell me nothing.
So next week again, evening edition next week. Again, part 2,
Yep.
relationships in ministry. What do the people you lead say about you?
Mm-hmm.
Signing off, I'm D. Brister.
Jay Morris.
Reverend Juice, take us out.
And the women are calling Darien back. You gotta go back to work.
All right.
Peace out, y'all.
Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Sky is the limit.